secrets, gave away the names of other people. He will be referred to by other witches as a warlock, signifying traitor, but it's never used within the craft as we call it today. It's male or female, it's just witch.
Excuse me, are you evil?
No, and in fact, this is one of the many misconceptions, unfortunately. Witches have a belief that they don't have 10 commandments, but they have one law, and that is, and it harm none, do what thou wilt, which basically means it doesn't matter what you do so long as you harm no one. And that, of course, includes yourself. So you shouldn't do evil. You're not a witch if you do.
Well, why is it throughout history witches have always been made out to be the bad guy?
Well, this comes from the early Middle Ages, when the church was rising in power, when Satanism was in existence. In the early Middle Ages, the church was very harsh on the average person, on the farmer, the serf. There wasn't much that the farmer had to call his own. Many people found that they were getting nothing by praying to God, and some sort of a rebellion came into being against the church. People decided, okay, I'm getting nothing by praying to God, let's try praying to the devil instead. Actually, they got nothing there either, but Satanism came into being. Now, the church, of course, was trying to put down anything which they considered anti-Christian, and so they lumped together Satanism and witchcraft, which was actually simply a pre-Christian religion, and anything which was non-Christian.
Good morning and happy Halloween. Here's your chance to talk to two bona fide witches. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, I was wondering if, just how you go about becoming a witch. I know a lot of witches, but I don't know the good kind. How do you do that?
You know bad witches?
No, I know some people that are called witches. With
Oh, I see.
has a
Are you
different
sure that's spelled with a
connotation.
W there?
Sure, that's... how do you become a witch? I mean,
Do you want to take this?
Scott, I want to be a witch.
You do?
Well, not
Really?
really, but I just thought I'd ask that in a
Okay, well,
hypothetical situation here.
there are basically two ways to do it. The first is through a organized ritual, usually performed by another witch, after a period of training.
Where you have bonfires and drink goat's blood and all that stuff?
No. It's basically
don't?
a naming ceremony. It's basically a ritualistic reaffirmment of a person's new religious faith, you might say. No different than becoming a member of any other religion. The ceremony may differ, but basically it's the same. The second way to become a witch is simply to investigate and to learn and to practice some of the occult arts. You might use the word occult. The word occult means secret, doesn't mean evil or satanic. And simply, over the period of time, become a witch.
How long have you been a witch?
I've been a witch since 1971.
Did you just decide you wanted to do it, so you went in for training and did it?
It
or-
was a series of circumstances, a series of coincidences, if you want to use that word, that sort of directed my mind towards becoming one.
Now, and I always ask you, what do you do as a witch? I mean, do you have powers? I mean, do you any of this stuff, or do you know? You remember the three witches? You know, Bubble, Toil, and Trouble, and they're brewing up a little something in the cave. I mean, do you do any?
Witches don't have any powers that anyone else has. There's only a certain amount of abilities humans have. We as witches investigate and use powers most people don't even realize they have.
Such as?
Psychic powers, for example. Sensitivity to places, people, and things like that. We also take energy from ourselves and from the world around us and direct that towards a goal to bring something that we need to have happen, which is basically magic. But these powers we use are the same powers that anyone else has at their fingertips if they know how to utilize them.
I think you'll find that some people have these powers coming out quite naturally. Some people know, for instance, that the telephone is going to ring before it actually does. They know who's on the other end before they pick up the receiver.
Yeah, but that
This is
doesn't
just
really
one-
mean that they're a witch, though, does it?
This is just natural power, for want of a better word. Well, this is the only sort of power that witches have. They have that same sort of power, but they have developed ways of perhaps bringing it out. In some people, it comes out naturally. Some people, it doesn't come out naturally.
What do you do with these powers once you develop them, Scott?
What do we do with them?
Yeah.
Well, we practice magic.
Well, tell me, when you practice magic, what do you do? Give me an example of practicing magic.
Example of practicing magic.
Okay. There was an old man who lived next door to me when I used to live in New York many years back. He was an old man, and he liked to tend his garden, but he had some terrible neighbors the other side, some teenage kids who used to break in, used to knock down his plants, used to steal his apples, and led him a terrible life. And he kept saying to me that he wished he could move. He didn't know, he didn't have the money, he didn't know how he could move, but he wished he could move to another area where he wouldn't be aggravated by these children. So I discussed this with the group, the Coven. The Coven is the name for a witch group. I discussed this with the Coven as to whether we could do some magic to help him. So we did. We got together. We worked what we call magic. Other people might just say it's coincidence. But we worked magic to try to help this man, to move him to somewhere where he would be happy. About a week later, coincidence perhaps, his uncle died and left him some money unexpectedly. He was able to buy a house near his son, I think it was, or about 50 miles from where he was living. Beautiful area, no neighbors other than other elderly people. So he was able to move away from this aggravation to basically a new life.
Now you say you worked magic.
Right.
But what? Be more specific here. Did you do chants? Did you make up potions? Did you
Okay,
talk
chants
to the
are
man?
part of it. Potions very, very seldom are used. Usually I spoke of the power which one has knowing that something is going to happen. It's this sort of power. You can draw it from the body, and you usually do it by working up to what is termed ecstasis, an ecstasy. This is done by dancing, by chanting, by rapid movements, by generally working up, in effect, working up to a sweat. This sort of generates the power, and then in a certain way we can project that power to make something happen, what we want to happen.
So if you become a witch and you are taught, can you teach them psychic powers as you have?
Yes, oh yes, all witches are taught this sort of thing. But I would emphasize that witchcraft is first and foremost a religion. Magic is secondary to that. We do magic if there's a need for it. We don't get together and say, oh, what magic can we do today? No, we get together for religious ceremonies. But if there is something that needs to be done, as in the case of this old man, then we will use our powers to try to be of some help. But it is secondary to the religious side.
Scott, describe for me a religious ceremony for a witch.
That would be very difficult. There aren't any centralized governing agencies or organizations of witches. Most witches have completely personal and separate types of rituals. But, for example, a ritual might include donning particular clothing like a robe and jewelry. It might be anointing one's body with oils, fragrant oils, setting up an altar with candles and incense and various other ritual tools, depending on the individual witch, and then basically lighting the candles, lighting the incense, and communing with the deities. In a sense, it's no different than any other religion, except for the fact that every practitioner of Wicca or witchcraft has powers at their beck and call. In other words, it is accepted within the religion. All religions have magic within them. Usually it's in specialized priests or in saviors or in earlier historical figures.
Recently, one of my students from class was telling me about a Sabbath, I think he said, and he said it's when all these witches get together at like midnight and then they worship the devil and have all this thing. Is this true? And if it is, I mean, can you tell us what it's like?
Okay, there is a Sabbath. There are 8 Sabbaths in the year. These are a Sabbath is a main festival, and there are main festivals throughout the year, just as there are in Christianity and Judaism and other religions. But a Sabbath, we do get together. It might be midnight or it might be midday. It doesn't have to be any special time. Generally, we take the evening hours because it's quieter then and it's more convenient. You're not working, so it's much more convenient. But worship the devil, no. And in fact, witches don't even believe in the devil. The devil is a Christian concept. Witchcraft is pre-Christian, so we don't believe in the devil. We just believe in the god and the goddess. So this is what.
But now, how many people here thought that witches believed in the devil? It was Satan worship.
It's interesting. Only Christians can believe in the devil. People of other religions do not believe in the devil simply because it's not a part of their religion.
Good morning. You're on Twin Cities Live. Go ahead with your question.
Yes. I'm calling about, I used to be a witch, and I found out that either I worship the devil or I worship the person of Jesus Christ. And I didn't know that when I was a witch because I believed that I was a good witch. But I found out that there is no such thing.
No such thing as a good witch?
Okay. There are many, many groups around, not just around the country, around the world, that call themselves witches. Not all of them know exactly what they're doing. For instance, you could get a group who had seen a movie like Rosemary's Baby, which dealt entirely with Satanism, but unfortunately R11 used the term witch. So a lot of people thought that this was witchcraft. You get groups who perhaps have seen a movie like that and thought, oh, it would be fun to be witches, let's get together and worship the devil, and they call themselves witches. If you get in with a group like this, it's not good, and you are involved in Satanism and devil worship. You want to get out. Before you attempt to get into any sort of witchcraft, read all you possibly can, the good books and the bad books. Unfortunately, there are not that many good books, but there are some.
There's really only one good book, and it's called the Bible, and it does tell us about using
there is a good book called the Bible, certainly. It's not my Bible, and it's not the Bible of the Jews or the Buddhists. There are many people who do not accept that as their book, but I certainly recognize it as a good book, and I recognize that there are some very good teachings in it. And if you have found through the Bible what is right for you, then I congratulate you, and I'm very happy for you, because so many people are searching for what is right for them.
Caller, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Do you fear witches?
No, I don't fear witches. Jesus is more powerful than witches. Jesus has more power than any psychic power we can drum up, and he's more powerful than the devil, the Lord who is called the Lord of this world.
Now, but in Wicca, the religion of Wicca, you don't really set up you're not really trying to overcome any other religions or anything?
No, this is one of the big differences between witchcraft and Christianity. Many Christians believe that theirs is the only religion, or the only true religion. Witches recognize that there are many religions, many paths to the center. Ours is just one of them. So we're very tolerant of other religions.
And we want to talk more about the origins of the religion of Wicca, or witchcraft, when we continue on Twin Cities Live. Don't go away.
You've heard about glasses fast, glasses right? At the Eye Works, fast means just a few hours, and right starts right here with a total eye exam from an Eye Works doctor of optometry. And ultra-fast service from our own lens lab. For the right look, choose from over 4,000 frames, or choose from our contact lens center for a look that's all you. Get your glasses fast, glasses right. At the Eye Works, the eye care superstore. Call for an exam or bring us your prescription.
During our debate the other night, I asked Governor Pribbich to look me in the eye and answer some questions about Minnesota's future. He couldn't do it. I'm looking you in the eye and telling you that if Cal Ludeman is elected governor, your taxes will go down, and it will be more affordable to live and to work and even retire in Minnesota. And I'll remember that every penny government spends